right, hello again. It is now July 24th, Tuesday, and it's been quite a while since we recorded a video.
Yep, we've just been extremely busy. As you can see, the surroundings are different, and we are kind of in our new abode right now. So we've been really busy with treatments, trying to feel better from treatments, and getting the house together. So that just hasn't left a whole lot for recording. But we figured today was a good day for me, and figured let's knock this out.
And with that, keep taking it away.
So we're kind of going to break this up. We're going to talk about the second treatments first, and then tomorrow we'll record about the third treatment. So the second treatment was June, what did I say?
28th.
June 28th. That's also the day that we kind of moved into this place. So before that, we were racing around trying to get our old place ready to put up for sale. So June 28th treatment, the kids came over again. They've been a huge help. They helped us with staging our old house. That day, I think our treatment was fairly quick comparatively. So it was like 3 hours probably. And after that, my son stayed with me, and Leo stayed at the old house and pretty much got the old house ready because we're just running behind so much. The infusion was a little bit rougher at that time. I started, just getting kind of I don't know how to explain that, kind of an out-of-body experience at a certain point when the meds were being pushed maybe a little bit too fast. Kind of like the world around me was just slowing down, and I just felt like I was underwater. It was not a pleasant feeling whatsoever. So they slowed the meds down quite a bit, and I came right back out of it. So that was not really a fun experience. After we got done with the treatments, we went back to the old house and picked up our pets, and pretty much drove myself an hour and a half to the new place. And it's a lot of country roads, and my son was actually commenting that he had a hard time keeping up with me in his Camaro. So it was doing pretty good. I worked from home that Friday. Again, my son Shannon and Leo went back to the old house trying to get it ready. And I pretty much stayed here and just worked from here. So I put in a full day on Friday working from home, and then pretty much crashed Saturday and Sunday. And I did go to work again on Monday, almost at a full day. But you don't feel good. But I just feel like if I don't continue to push myself, I'm just gonna go into a hole where, it's just the less you do, the worse you're gonna feel. So even when I don't feel good, when I go to work, I have from time to time that I forget how nauseous I am or how bad I feel. So I kind of feel like working helps me to sort of keep on dragging myself out of that pit. So generally felt unwell until Wednesday. Just kind of nauseous the whole time, bad taste in my mouth. Also got terrible constipation. I know, TMI. But I do want to mention it because it is one of the side effects, and it adds to the nausea. So If you're going through chemo, I mean, when they say constipation, they are serious about constipation. And I all of a sudden realized that I hadn't gone for at least a week. So I had to take, I think, 3 rounds of the Senecot and to finally get a little bit of movement. So again, and that stuff is pretty rough on your body as well. So cramps and everything. So that probably didn't help me feeling good. I think I finally climbed out of it on Friday. So Friday I did have a fairly good night. I think we went out and hung out with some friends of ours, and but then Saturday I was generally not feeling too good, and I did do a lot of sleeping. So kind of calling that my world's kind of closing in, because with each treatment I have a little bit less days left that I actually feel top notch and I actually feel like doing anything besides just forcing myself to go to work. So I will have to say that, and I forgot about that Thursday and Friday I did work 2 12-hour shifts because one of my associates was out of the office. So definitely glutton for punishment. So it's actually not surprising that I kind of crashed on Saturday. I think even a normal person probably would have crashed on Saturday. It shows you that sometimes I do ask a little bit too much of myself. I did develop another mouth sore again that time. So just the first one I got was all the way in the back, and this time I had one like at the front. For me, they only lasted for like 3 days, and yeah, they're a little bit painful, but I mean, if not super bothersome. So just want to summarize everything real quick because I gave a lot of information. So the day of chemo and the day after chemo, generally I feel pretty good. Then I had 5 days of feeling not so good, and 2 days of feeling fine but still hard to eat because stuff just doesn't taste very, very good. And then 5 days of just feeling like a normal human being again. So as compared to the one before that, the first one where I literally had 7 days, 7 really good days. So from Wednesday to Wednesday before the chemo, I just felt just fine, like there was nothing wrong. So again, a little bit of closing up of your world around you, where you just don't have as many good days. So also want to touch on the last test that came back.
Yep.
I had as you know, an hereditary test done to test for BRCA1 or 2, and I am indeed positive for BRCA1, which brings home a lot of what my mom ultimately went through. She started with one breast, and they removed that one. Then it was the second one, and they removed that one, and in that time they took a lot of lymph nodes as well. And then a few years later, it got in her ovaries and it went unchecked. So and that's what finally took her life. So so when you are positive for BRCA1, you do get that passed down from your parents. So I inherited that from my mom, and when you have that, it's 80% chance that you will develop breast cancer before you're 90. Now, I mean, I know 90 is a very long time to live, but hey, I'm 48 right now, and I've developed breast cancer indeed. And there is a 55% chance of developing ovarian cancer. So those chances are, of course, a little bit too high for me. So we did decide, and I think the decision was already made kind of when, you know, we had one thing after another, but to do a double mastectomy and have the ovary and the fallopian tubes removed. So I increased my chances of survival by, I believe, what was it, 90% they said. So so just a little bit more about the BRCA tests, or the hereditary nature of them. It is a mutation of the gene, so it's on or off. Either you have the mutation or you don't. You don't have a percentage of a mutation that you can pass on. It's you have the mutation or you don't. So since my mom had the mutations, you know, with her getting pregnant, she had 50% of passing that on to her kids, because my dad didn't have the mutation, probably, don't know. So 50% chance to hand that off, because you have 50% of your genes from your mom and 50% of your genes from your dad. So
high school biology.
Yep, exactly. Well, not everybody might have paid attention. So, anyways, so since I have the gene, between me and my ex-husband, we again have 50% chance of passing it on to our kids. If I didn't have the gene, then I had no chance whatever to pass it off to the kids. So, again, I have advised my son to get tested as well, and he certainly will. So when you find out something like that, you have to also tell your siblings, which I've done, and they're dealing with that themselves. I mean, if you do have cancer in your family, especially breast cancer, I mean, I would advise you to see if you can get this test. Like I said, I've asked for this test before. But only one known person in my family had cancer, which was my mom, so they wouldn't do it. And I think if I would have been able to get tested earlier, then this could have been detected earlier, because you don't have to take action on it. You don't have to remove everything immediately. If they know that you are positive for the BRCA1 or BRCA2, what they can do is they can do mammogram first, and then 6 months later they do an MRI, and then a mammogram again every 6 months, and then 6 months later an MRI. So yearly you get an MRI and a mammogram, but they're offset, so you actually get tested twice more than everybody else. And that MRI, as you have seen with me, because I've had mammograms, I've had ultrasounds, they didn't show anything. That mammogram was ultimately what...
MRI.
The MRI was the one that, ultimately told us what was wrong. So, so definitely, if you do have it in your family, I would suggest that you push hard to get that test done. I don't know how much they cost, but it might actually be worth it to just pay for it yourself. So anyways, that's everything that happens between my second and my third infusion. And like I said, we'll record another video tomorrow for the third one, because that one's already behind us. And you've seen the getting bald, what do we call it, rocking the bald video. Yes. So, which I have been. Wanted to touch on that real quick as well. I mean, I seemed pretty brave in that video, and I don't think it affected me as much, because we're just having fun with shaving my head that night. That morning, however, when I woke up and I knew I had to go to work, and I went like, okay, well, I'm gonna put a beanie on. So I put a beanie on, and I had the beanie over my ears, and went like, okay, this looks stupid. So I put the beanie under my ears, and my ears did this, and I went like, okay, that looks even more stupid. So I just ripped the beanie off, and went like, okay, I'm just gonna go bald. And I'm like, I gotta do something. So I put like really pretty makeup on, and I looked at myself and I'm like, you're still ugly. And I did shed a couple of tears and ruined my makeup. But in the end, you know what? I went to work and everybody was just beautiful. Just so supportive. And in the end, you gotta think, hey, I am not in high school anymore. I mean, these are all adults. They understand what you're going through. And again, everybody just was extremely supportive and just made me feel even stronger for just rocking the bold ultimately, and not hiding under a wig, which, for anybody else, that's fine. I'm just like, I don't really like wigs. I've worn them for fun, and it just feels like a really extremely warm hat. And here in Virginia, the humidity and the heat, I just couldn't bear being uncomfortable with everything else that's going on, just to look pretty. So for me, that's kind of why I decided to rock the bald, is because I just don't want to be uncomfortable. And I'm lazy, and right now I don't even have to wash this, so just a little bit of cream on it. So well, that's all the news we're gonna share today for now, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Thank you.